If you've ever felt trapped in a loop of constant planning without tangible results, you're not alone. Content creation often begins with excitement, but quickly devolves into chaos, scattered tools, vague goals, and the paralysis of perfectionism. These are not mere productivity issues. They're systemic roadblocks holding you back from building your content empire. In Create the System, Start Your Content Empire Today, you'll discover that consistent content creation isn't a product of talent, luck, or endless hustle. It's built on reliable, repeatable systems. You'll learn how to replace uncertainty with clarity, overwhelm with streamlined workflows, and procrastination with confident, imperfect action. Drawing from proven methods, this book guides you through a structured process, from identity shifts and protected creative time to powerful content frameworks like minimum viable publishing, MVPub, and the C.O.D.E pipeline. These systems not only transform your ability to produce consistently, but also allow you to scale without burnout. Whether you're an ambitious solopreneur, a small business owner, or a driven content creator tired of the endless cycle of ideation without implementation, this is your roadmap out. It's time to turn content chaos into a predictable publishing machine. Your content empire awaits. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Start now. Your content calendar is a graveyard of half-finished drafts. Your competitor just landed another partnership while you're still refining your strategy. Every morning, you promise yourself today will be different. Today, you'll finally ship something. But here you are again, scrolling through analytics that don't exist because you haven't published anything worth measuring. This isn't about talent. This isn't about luck. This is about installing a system that turns ideas into assets, assets into trust, and trust into revenue, day after day, quarter after quarter. The real enemy isn't what you think. Most creators think their problem is creative. Wrong. Your problem is operational. Vague goals are dream killers. You say you want to build an audience or create content, but these aren't goals, they're wishes. Without clear audience problem fit, you publish random topics that confuse your followers and exhaust your energy. You pivot constantly, chasing every new trend, killing momentum before it can compound. Fear disguises itself as perfectionism. I'm still clarifying my niche becomes your permanent excuse for never starting. Tool sprawl fragments your attention. You download a new app every week, convinced this one will be the magic bullet. Notion for planning, Canva for graphics, Buffer for scheduling, Loom for videos. Your workflow spans 17 different platforms with no single source of truth. Assets stall in draft purgatory. You mistake collecting tools for making progress, but productivity theater isn't production. Perfectionism masquerades as strategy. One more tweak becomes your death sentence. You spend 3 hours adjusting a thumbnail that gets zero feedback because it never goes live. Without shipping, you get zero data. Without data, confidence decays. The longer you wait, the higher the stakes feel, creating a vicious cycle of paralysis. No scoreboard means no game. Without a publishing schedule, later becomes never. Without metrics, you can't separate signal from noise. Was that post successful because of the hook, the timing, or pure luck? Without weekly reviews, you repeat the same mistakes indefinitely, trapped in a loop of good intentions and zero execution. The compound effect of getting this right. Picture this. 18 months from now, you wake up to automated revenue notifications. Your content library works while you sleep. Partnerships flow inbound because your reliability precedes your reputation. Your calendar belongs to you. Deep work in the morning, strategic calls in the afternoon, family time protected. You'll own a compounding engine. Consistent posts build trust. Trust generates inbound opportunities. Those opportunities become monetized intellectual property. Your best work keeps working. The library effect means content you create today pays dividends for years. Optionality explodes. Partnerships, licensing deals, equity opportunities that only come to creators with proven systems. Calendar freedom becomes your reality. Standard operating procedures, SOPs, remove you from low-leverage tasks. Your mornings become sacred deep work windows for strategy and relationship building. Less firefighting, more vision work. You'll shift from operator to orchestrator. You'll build a recognizable personal moat. Named frameworks, consistent voice, reliable cadence, these become your competitive advantages. Audience familiarity breeds preference. When people know you ship every Tuesday and Thursday, they start looking for you. Copycats can steal your tactics, but they can't replicate your system. The cost of staying stuck. While you're getting ready to get ready, competitors with systems are lapping you. They capture mindshare, you chase scraps. Platform algorithms reward reliability, not intentions. Consistent creators get algorithmic preference. Inconsistent creators get algorithmic punishment. Opportunities bypass unreliable players. Why would someone partner with a creator who can't maintain a basic publishing schedule? Your creativity atrophies. Less practice equals slower thinking equals weaker ideas. The muscle of creation needs regular exercise. Fear compounds as stakes feel higher. Eventually, you avoid shipping entirely, convincing yourself you're still preparing when you're actually paralyzed. Burnout and stagnation become your default. Always busy, rarely finished. No feedback loops mean no learning. No learning means no improvement. Cynicism replaces ambition. You become the person who used to create content instead of the person who ships. Your 48-hour transformation. This book isn't theory. It's a battle-tested operating system that turns chaos into compounding momentum. Here's what you'll achieve in your first pass. Publish your first minimum viable publishing in 48 hours. Use a simple 200-word template. Hook, story, takeaway, call to action. Commit publicly. Ship despite imperfections. Capture 1 to 2 learnings from real audience data. Done beats perfect every single time. Install a constraint calendar and timebox your next 2 weeks. 2 90-minute maker blocks per weekday. Pre-decided task sequences inside each block. Stakes: miss a block, pay a small consequence. Time constraints force decisions. Decisions create momentum. Set one North Star metric NSM and launch your weekly creator scorecard. Choose your NSM, watch time, saves per post, email retention, something that actually correlates with business outcomes. Track output, on-time percentage, latency to publish, repurpose multiplier, and inbound opportunities. Diagnose one bottleneck every Friday. What gets measured gets managed. The 8-stage installation sequence. This system builds in sequence. Each stage feeds the next. Skip steps and the system collapses. Identity shift transforms I want to create into I ship on schedule. Identity drives behavior. Behavior creates evidence. Evidence strengthens identity. This is the foundation everything else builds on. Time control protects maker blocks with timeboxing. Without protected time, systems starve. Constraints catalyze creativity while killing indecision. Build system gives you CROS, Creator Operating System, plus C.O.D.E, Capture, Organize, Distill, Execute, plus the 4D loop, Define, Draft, Deploy, Diagnose. Systems make behavior repeatable and scalable. Ship Faster installs MVPub templates, drives down latency to publish, and eliminates editorial debt. Speed generates data. Data guides decisions. Scale output multiplies production through batching economics, repurpose multiplier, and automation leverage index. Work once, win many times. Measure Better focuses energy through your NSM, weekly creator scorecard, and feedback flywheel. Measurement prevents drift and guides improvement. Monetize Ladder captures value through a simple progression. Free, lead magnet, entry offer, core offer, backend. Revenue funds delegation and tools. Keep Going locks in momentum for the next 12 months through weekly reviews, quarterly focus, and systematic improvement. Why this order matters. Identity drives behavior. Behavior needs protected time. Without identity, schedules crumble under pressure. Without time, systems starve from neglect. Systems make behavior repeatable. Speed generates data. Data guides scale decisions. You can't optimize what you can't measure. Monetization sustains the game. Momentum compounds. Revenue funds delegation and tools. Compounding demands patience and systematic iteration. Each stage amplifies the next. Miss one and the whole sequence weakens. Winners versus losers, the stark reality. Winner ships, loser tinkers. Winner tracks one NSM, loser tracks everything and improves nothing. Winner batches and repurposes, loser starts from scratch every time. Winner captures learnings, loser defends opinions. The difference isn't talent, it's system. Proof in the wild. Mr. Beast didn't get lucky. He obsessed over watch time as his North Star metric. Every video decision, pacing, hooks, retention curves, optimized for that single number. Relentless A/B testing. SOP-driven scaling. System, not chance. Seth Godin proves MVPub works. Daily blog posts for decades. Consistent, valuable, shipped. No excuses, no exceptions. The compound effect of small, consistent actions created one of the most trusted voices in business. Marks Brownlee, KBHD, protects his production windows. Scheduled deep work, high-trust, high-quality system, consistent output across multiple platforms without sacrificing standards. Reliability built his reputation. These aren't accidents. They're systems in action. The moment of truth. Your calendar is open. Your cursor is blinking. Your competition is shipping. Every day you delay is a day your future self will regret. Every excuse you make is an opportunity you're giving to someone else. Every tomorrow is a vote against the creator you could become. The system is simple. The execution is everything. Open your calendar right now. Block 2 90-minute maker sessions this week. Write your identity line on a sticky note. I am the creator who ships every day at time. Draft your first MVPub today using the Hook Story Takeaway CTA template. Ship by sundown. Your content empire starts with a single published asset. Your first asset starts with a single decision. The decision to start now. But installing the identity is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you learn to bend time itself to your creative will. And that's where we're headed next, into the realm where constraints become your greatest creative catalyst. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2, Identity Shift. You've been approaching this backwards. Every morning you wake up and ask yourself, do I feel like creating today? Wrong question. That's why you're stuck in the endless cycle of good intentions and zero output. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It shows up when you don't need it and vanishes when you do. The creators who win don't rely on feeling motivated. They've cracked a deeper code, one that most people never discover. They've learned to weaponize the most powerful force in human psychology, the need to stay consistent with who we believe we are. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about discipline. This is about identity. The hidden psychology of consistent creators. Here's what separates the shipping creators from the perpetual planners. Winners don't think, I want to create content. They think, I am a creator who ships. That subtle shift changes everything. Your brain has a built-in consistency engine. Once you declare an identity, your subconscious works overtime to prove it true. Psychologists call this consistency bias, and it's one of the strongest forces driving human behavior. We'll act against our immediate interests to maintain alignment with our self-image. Think about it. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't debate whether to exercise. They just do it because that's what healthy people do. A person who identifies as reliable doesn't consider breaking promises. It would violate their core sense of self. A person who identifies as a creator who ships doesn't negotiate with publishing deadlines. Shipping is simply who they are. But here's the trap most creators fall into. They're trying to build the behavior before they've installed the identity. They're fighting an uphill battle against their own psychology. Casey Neistat understood this intuitively. When he committed to daily vlogs, he wasn't just committing to a publishing schedule, he was declaring a new identity. I am the creator who ships every single day. That identity declaration transformed him from a sporadic filmmaker into a content machine. The daily shipping habit didn't just build his audience, it forged his character. When you ship every day for 368 consecutive days, as Casey did, you're not just creating content, you're creating yourself. Seth Godin took this even further. For over 2 decades, he's published a daily blog post. Not when he feels inspired. Not when he has something profound to say. Every single day. Because that's what C.O.D.E does. The identity drives the behavior, not the other way around. The magic happens when shipping becomes your default setting instead of your aspiration. The execution bias advantage. Most creators suffer from analysis paralysis. They overthink every post, every angle, every word. They're trapped in the perfectionism prison, convinced that their next piece needs to be their masterpiece. Winners operate differently. They've installed what I call the execution bias principle. When in doubt, ship the smaller version. This isn't about lowering standards. This is about understanding that learning beats polishing every single time. You can spend 3 weeks perfecting a post that gets 0 engagement, or you can ship 3 posts in 3 days and discover what actually resonates with your audience. The data doesn't lie, but your perfectionist tendencies will. Execution bias exploits a fundamental truth about momentum. Objects in motion stay in motion. Every time you ship, you make the next ship easier. Every time you delay, you make the next delay more likely. The physics of creation favor the consistent over the brilliant. But there's a deeper layer here. When you consistently choose execution over perfection, you're training your brain to value progress over polish. You're rewiring your neural pathways to default toward action. This becomes your competitive advantage in a world full of overthinkers. The dangerous myths keeping you stuck. Before we dive into the mechanics of identity installation, let's destroy the 3 myths that keep most creators trapped in perpetual preparation mode. Myth 1. I need motivation first. Wrong. Motivation is the result of action, not the cause. You don't wait to feel motivated to brush your teeth. You brush your teeth because that's what people who care about dental hygiene do. The same principle applies to content creation. You don't wait to feel motivated to ship. You ship because that's what creators do. Myth 2. I must define the perfect niche first. This is procrastination disguised as strategy. Clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from shipping. Your niche emerges from the intersection of what you consistently create and what your audience consistently consumes. You discover your voice by using it, not by planning it. Myth 3. Big goals will push me harder. Actually, big goals often paralyze. When you set a goal to build a massive audience, every post feels like it needs to be a home run. When you set a goal to ship every Tuesday and Thursday, every post just needs to be shipped. Small, specific commitments pull you forward. Vague, massive goals push you into overwhelm. The truth is simpler than you think. You need identity and environment, not motivation and inspiration. Installing your creator identity. Your identity installation happens in 3 phases, each building on the last. Skip a phase and the whole system crumbles. Phase 1 is crafting your identity line. This isn't a mission statement or a vision board quote. This is a simple, declarative sentence that defines your shipping behavior. The template is straightforward. I am the creator who ships every frequency at time. Notice the specificity. Not, I want to create content regularly. Not, I'm working on building a content habit. Not, I'm trying to post more often. You are the creator who ships every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Period. No negotiation, no exceptions, no escape clauses. You'll read this line aloud before every maker block. You'll post it where you work. You'll repeat it until it becomes automatic. This isn't positive thinking. This is identity programming. Phase 2 is your 14-day public pact. Here's where most people get scared, and that's exactly why it works. You're going to announce your cadence and scope publicly, not to your journal, not to your mirror, to your audience, your network, your accountability partner. The announcement is simple. For the next 14 days, I'm shipping specific content type every specific day at specific time. If I miss a day, I'll specific consequence. The consequence doesn't need to be dramatic. A $20 donation to a cause you dislike, a public apology post, or doing 50 push-ups. The key is making it real and immediate. Why 14 days? It's long enough to establish a pattern, but short enough to feel achievable. After 14 days, you'll have evidence that you are, in fact, a creator who ships. That evidence becomes the foundation for a 30-day streak, then a 90-day streak, then a permanent identity. Phase 3 is building your trigger stack. This is where the rubber meets the road. You need a specific cue that triggers a specific routine that delivers a specific reward. The cue should be environmental and automatic. When you open your laptop, when you sit at your desk, when you finish your morning routine. Something that happens naturally in your day. The routine should be small and specific. Write 100 words. Record a 30-second voice note. Outline 3 bullet points. The goal isn't to complete the entire asset, it's to start the creation process. Starting is the hardest part. Once you start, momentum takes over. The reward should be immediate and satisfying. Check a box. Post a streak update. Send yourself a congratulatory text. Your brain needs instant gratification to wire the habit loop. Here's the crucial part. If you're feeling resistance, make the routine smaller. 2 minutes max. The goal is consistency, not perfection. You can always do more once you start, but you can't do anything if you don't start. The compound effect of small wins. Something magical happens when you start shipping consistently. Tiny wins create credible confidence. Credible confidence fuels bolder, better work. Bolder work accelerates growth. But there's a deeper transformation happening beneath the surface. Every time you ship on schedule, you're proving to yourself that you are who you say you are. Every piece of evidence strengthens the identity. Every strengthened identity makes the next ship easier. This is why consistency beats intensity. The creator who ships 3 mediocre posts per week will outperform the creator who ships 1 brilliant post per month. Not just in output, in identity formation. The consistent creator develops an unshakable belief in their ability to deliver. The sporadic creator remains trapped in the cycle of doubt and delay. Your audience notices this too. Cadence becomes character. When people know you ship every Tuesday and Thursday, they start looking for you on Tuesday and Thursday. Reliability builds trust faster than brilliance builds admiration. The algorithms notice as well. Platform algorithms reward reliability above almost everything else. Consistent creators get consistent distribution. Sporadic creators get sporadic reach. Troubleshooting your identity installation. Even with the best system, things can go wrong. Here's how to handle the 3 most common failure modes. Identity relapse happens when you start negotiating with your commitment. You miss 1 day, then 2, then you're back to sporadic posting. The fix is immediate. Reread your identity line, ship a micro version today, and restart your streak. Don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until you feel ready. Ship something small right now. Scope creep kills more creators than lack of ideas. You start with a commitment to 200-word posts and somehow convince yourself you need to write 2,000-word essays. The fix is ruthless. Have your scope, keep your schedule. Better to ship small consistently than to ship big sporadically. Public fear stops many creators before they start. The thought of announcing your commitment publicly feels too vulnerable, too risky. The fix is to start smaller, but still start publicly. Post to a smaller platform, tell one accountability partner, or announce to a private group. The key is making it real and witnessed. The 3 levels of success. Your identity installation will progress through 3 distinct levels, each with its own rewards and challenges. Good looks like 3 posts per week for 2 weeks straight. You'll start getting your first inbound comments and questions. People begin to notice your consistency. You'll feel the first stirrings of creator confidence. Excellent looks like a full 14-day streak with 10% audience growth and your first collaboration invites. The identity is starting to stick. Shipping feels more natural than not shipping. You're building real momentum. Best looks like a 30-day streak that becomes a daily posting habit, generating 2 or more inbound opportunities per week. The identity is fully installed. You don't think about whether to ship, you just ship. Opportunities start flowing because reliability precedes reputation. The beautiful thing about identity-based habits is that they compound. Each level makes the next level easier. Each success strengthens the identity. Each strengthened identity makes future success more likely. Your transformation from sporadic creator to shipping machine starts with a single decision. Who are you going to be? Not who do you want to be, not who you might become someday. Who are you right now, today? The moment you declare, I am the creator who ships, everything changes. But declaring the identity is just the beginning. The real magic happens when you learn to protect that identity with the one resource that determines everything else, and that's a secret most creators never discover. Chapter 3: Time Control. Your calendar is lying to you. Right now, it's probably a chaotic mess of back-to-back meetings, scattered work time, and optimistic blocks labeled content creation that somehow never happen. You look at it every morning with good intentions, but by noon, you're already behind, reactive, and wondering where the day went. Here's the brutal truth. Your calendar isn't just a scheduling tool, it's your strategy made visible. And if your calendar is chaos, your strategy is chaos. If your calendar doesn't protect your creative work doesn't exist. The most successful creators have discovered something that separates them from the perpetually busy. They don't manage time, they control it. There's a profound difference, and once you understand it, everything changes. The calendar paradox. Most people treat their calendar like a suggestion box. They block time for content creation and then let meetings creep in because it's just this once. They schedule creative work for the end of the day when their energy is depleted. They fragment their maker time into 30-minute chunks between calls and wonder why they can't get into flow. This is backwards thinking. Your calendar should be a fortress, not a free-for-all. The creators who consistently ship understand a fundamental principle. Unprotected time equals unfinished assets. Without sacred boundaries around your creative work, everything else will expand to fill the space. Meetings multiply like bacteria. Urgent requests crowd out important work. Your content creation gets pushed to later, which becomes tomorrow, which becomes never. But here's where it gets interesting. The solution isn't more time, it's better constraints. Most people think constraints limit creativity. Actually, constraints catalyze it. When you have unlimited time to work on something, you'll take unlimited time. When you have exactly 90 minutes to draft, outline, and ship a piece of content, you'll find a way to make it happen. This isn't just productivity theory, this is physics applied to creation. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Most creators let this law work against them. Winners flip it and make it work for them. The hidden psychology of timeboxing. Here's what most productivity advice gets wrong. It focuses on efficiency instead of effectiveness. It teaches you how to do things faster instead of how to do the right things consistently. Timeboxing isn't about speed, it's about decision-making. When you have a fixed container for a task, you're forced to make rapid decisions about what matters and what doesn't. You can't afford to perfect every sentence when you only have 20 minutes to write. You can't research endlessly when you only have 15 minutes to outline. The constraint forces clarity. But there's a deeper psychological principle at work here. When you pre-decide how long something should take, you're programming your brain for completion, not perfection. Your subconscious starts working toward the deadline instead of working toward some impossible standard of flawlessness. This is why the most prolific creators often produce their best work under tight deadlines. The pressure doesn't diminish quality, it eliminates overthinking. Ali Abdaal figured this out early in his YouTube career. He batch films multiple videos in single sessions, schedules specific blocks for editing, and protects his deep work windows like they're client meetings. This isn't just efficient, it's strategic. By clustering similar tasks together, he amortizes the setup costs and maintains creative momentum across multiple projects. Marks Brownlee, MPH, takes this even further. His production windows are sacred. No meetings during filming days, no interruptions during editing blocks, no exceptions. This consistency allows him to maintain both quality and cadence across multiple platforms without burning out. The pattern is clear. Winners protect their maker time like their revenue depends on it, because it does. The 3 deadly myths about creative time. Before we dive into the mechanics of time control, let's destroy the 3 myths that keep most creators trapped in reactive mode. Myth 1. I'll create when inspired. This is the amateur's approach. Inspiration is unreliable, unpredictable, and usually inconvenient. Professional creators don't wait for inspiration, they create the conditions for it. Inspiration follows action, not the other way around. When you sit down at your designated time with your designated tools in your designated space, inspiration shows up. When you wait for it to strike randomly, it rarely does. Myth 2. More hours equals more output. Wrong. More focused hours produce more assets. A creator who works 3 distracted hours will produce less than a creator who works 1 focused hour. Context switching is the enemy of creativity. Every time you shift from writing to email to Slack to writing, you're paying a cognitive switching cost. Those costs compound throughout the day, leaving you exhausted with little to show for it. Myth 3. Multitasking saves time. This is the biggest lie in productivity culture. Multitasking doesn't exist. Only task switching exists. And task switching destroys throughput. When you try to write while monitoring email, edit while taking calls, or brainstorm while in meetings, you're not being efficient. You're being ineffective. The human brain can only focus on one complex task at a time. Everything else is an illusion of productivity. The truth is simpler and more powerful. Constraints beat chaos, focus beats frenzy, and protected time beats perfect time. Installing your constraint calendar. Your time control system has 3 components, each building on the last. Master all 3, and you'll never struggle with finding time to create again. The first component is the constraint calendar method. This isn't about scheduling everything. It's about protecting the essential and clustering the rest. You're going to carve out fixed maker blocks, not flexible creative time that can be moved around. Fixed blocks that are as immovable as client meetings. 2 90-minute blocks per weekday is the minimum effective dose. Schedule them during your peak energy hours, not your leftover hours. These blocks go on your calendar with alerts, titles, and clear objectives. Treat them like paid client sessions, because they are. You're paying yourself to create the assets that will build your future. Anyone who wants to schedule over these blocks gets the same response you'd give if they asked to cancel a paying client. I'm not available then, but I have openings at these times. The second part of the constraint calendar is meeting clusters. Instead of letting meetings scatter throughout your week like landmines, you're going to cluster them into specific afternoons. Meeting Mondays, call Tuesdays, whatever works for your schedule. The goal is to batch similar activities together so you can maintain creative momentum during your maker blocks. You'll also establish clear, no-meeting zones. Your peak creative hours are off limits, period. No exceptions for quick calls or urgent meetings. Urgent is rarely important, and important is rarely urgent. Protect your maker time like it's the most valuable real estate in your business, because it is. The time box theory of shipping. The second component is where the magic really happens. You're going to pre-decide how long each stage of creation should take, then stick to those decisions religiously. Here's a sample sequence for a typical content piece. Idea capture takes 15 minutes. Outline takes 20 minutes. First draft takes 30 minutes. Edit and polish takes 20 minutes. Final ship decision takes 5 minutes. Total, 90 minutes from idea to published asset. These aren't suggestions, they're constraints. When the timer rings, you stop. If you're not done, you ship what you have or schedule a specific time to finish. No exceptions, no just 5 more minutes. The constraint is what creates the urgency that creates the output. This feels uncomfortable at first. Your perfectionist brain will scream that you need more time. Ignore it. The goal isn't perfection, it's completion. You can always improve the next piece, but you can't improve something that doesn't exist. Use simple checkboxes to advance through stages. Idea captured? Check. Outline complete? Check. Draft finished? Check. This creates micro rewards throughout the process and prevents you from getting stuck in any single stage. Every block ends with a ship decision. Either you publish now or you schedule a specific time to publish. No, I'll finish this later without a concrete plan. Later is where content goes to die. The anti-procrastination arsenal. The third component is your defense system against the forces that will try to derail your time control, because they will try. Urgency is seductive. Distractions are persistent. Procrastination is patient. Your first line of defense is public commitment. Every week, you're going to post your maker block schedule, not just to yourself, to your audience, your accountability partner, or your team. Public stakes create private discipline. When people know you're supposed to be creating from 8 to 9:30 a.m., you're less likely to check email instead. Your second line of defense is immediate consequences. Miss a maker block? $20 goes to a cause you dislike. Skip a time box? You owe your accountability partner a public apology post. The consequences don't need to be severe. They need to be immediate and real. Loss aversion is a powerful motivator when properly leveraged. Your third line of defense is environmental design. During maker blocks, your phone goes in another room. Notifications get disabled. You work with one browser tab open. You remove the friction from starting and add friction to stopping. Make it easier to stay focused than to get distracted. The first hard thing first rule is your final defense. Your most challenging creative work happens during your first maker block of the day, not after you've depleted your willpower on email, meetings, and decisions. Not when you're tired and reactive, when you're fresh, focused, and energized. The compound effect of protected time. Something remarkable happens when you consistently protect your creative time. Your output doesn't just increase, it transforms. In the first week, you'll notice you're actually finishing things. Projects that used to drag on for weeks get completed in single sessions. The constraint forces decisions that perfectionism prevented. By the second week, you'll start entering flow states more easily. Your brain begins to associate your maker blocks with deep work. The transition from scattered to focused becomes automatic. By the fourth week, you'll have more completed assets than you've created in the previous 3 months. But more importantly, you'll have proven to yourself that you can create on command. The confidence that comes from consistent output is transformational. Your audience notices too. Consistent publishing builds trust and anticipation. When people know you ship every Tuesday and Thursday, they start looking for you on Tuesday and Thursday. Reliability becomes your brand. The algorithms notice as well. Platform algorithms favor consistent creators. Regular publishing signals quality and commitment. Sporadic creators get sporadic distribution. Consistent creators get consistent reach. Troubleshooting your time control system. Even with the best system, challenges will arise. Here's how to handle the 4 most common failure modes. Overbooking happens when you let meetings creep back into your maker blocks. The fix is ruthless. Consolidate all meetings to 1 afternoon per day. Protect your mornings like they're sacred, because they are. Scope creep kills time boxes. You start with a plan to write 300 words and somehow convince yourself you need to write 3,000. The fix is discipline. Have your scope, keep your deadlines. Better to ship small consistently than to ship big sporadically. Energy dips are natural and predictable. The fix is strategic scheduling. Put your hardest creative work in your peak energy window. Move administrative tasks to your low energy times. Work with your natural rhythms, not against them. Life interruptions are inevitable. The fix is preparation. Keep a micro MVP hub template ready for emergencies. When you only have 15 minutes instead of 90, you can still ship something small. Consistency matters more than size. The 3 levels of time mastery. Your time control system will evolve through 3 distinct levels, each with its own rewards and challenges. Good looks like 6 maker blocks per week with 60% on-time shipping. You're building the habit and seeing initial results. your output is becoming more predictable. Excellent looks like 10 maker blocks per week with 80% on-time shipping and latency to publish under 36 hours. The system is becoming automatic. You're entering flow states regularly, and shipping becomes natural. Best looks like 12 or more maker blocks per week with 90% on-time shipping and daily asset creation for 2 weeks straight. Time control has become time mastery. You create on command, ship on schedule, and compound your output week after week. The beautiful thing about time control is that it's completely within your power. You can't control inspiration, motivation, or market conditions. But you can control your calendar, your constraints, and your commitment to the process. Your transformation from reactive creator to time master starts with a single decision. Will you protect your creative time, or will you let everything else consume it? The choice seems simple, but the implications are profound. Because once you master time, you're ready to tackle the next challenge, the one that separates hobbyists from professionals, dreamers from builders, and scattered creators from systematic empire builders. Chapter 4: Build System. You've been running a content business like a corner store when you should be running it like Amazon. Right now, your system probably looks like this. Ideas scattered across 3 different apps, drafts buried in folders you can't find, publishing schedules that exist only in your head, and zero visibility into what's working or why. Every piece of content feels like you're starting from scratch. Every deadline feels like a surprise attack. This isn't sustainable. More importantly, it's not scalable. The creators who build empires understand something that hobbyists never grasp. Talent doesn't scale, but systems do. Your personality might start a channel, but only systems build an empire. And the difference between a system and a process is profound. One transforms everything it touches, the other just makes things slightly more organized. The hidden truth about creative systems. Most creators think systems will kill their creativity. They imagine rigid processes that turn art into assembly lines, inspiration into automation. This fear keeps them trapped in chaos, convinced that organization equals death of the creative spirit. They're wrong. Systems don't kill creativity, they protect it. Here's what actually happens when you install a proper creator operating system. Instead of spending 70% of your time searching for files, remembering what you were working on, and recreating the same processes over and over, you spend 70% of your time actually creating. The system handles the mundane so your brain can focus on the magical. Think about it this way. McDonald's doesn't have systems because they hate cooking. They have systems because they want to serve millions of customers consistently. Netflix doesn't have algorithms because they hate entertainment. They have algorithms because they want to deliver the right content to the right person at the right time. Your content creation needs the same systematic approach. But here's the deeper truth that most people miss. Systems create freedom, not restriction. When you know exactly where every idea lives, exactly what stage every asset is in, and exactly what needs to happen next, you're free to focus on the work that only you can do. The system becomes your external brain, handling the cognitive load so your actual brain can create. MrBeast figured this out early. His operation isn't built on his personal genius, it's built on documented processes, systematic testing, and rigorous postmortems. Every video follows tested frameworks, every decision gets logged and analyzed, every process gets refined and improved. The result? Consistent output at massive scale without sacrificing quality. This isn't accident, this is architecture. Why most creative systems fail. Before we dive into building your creator operating system, let's understand why most attempts at systematization fail. The problem isn't lack of intention, it's lack of understanding. Most creators confuse tools with systems. They think buying the right software will solve their problems. They migrate from Notion to Airtable to Monday.com, convinced that the next platform will be the magic bullet. But tools are just containers. Without proper structure, even the best tool becomes another digital junk drawer. Others fall into the over-engineering trap. They build elaborate workflows with 17 different statuses, color-coded priorities, and complex automation that breaks every time they sneeze. Complexity doesn't equal sophistication. The best systems are elegantly simple, not impressively complicated. The third failure mode is documentation debt. They build systems but never document them. Everything lives in their head, which means everything dies when they're not around. Undocumented systems aren't systems. They're personal habits that can't be transferred, improved, or scaled. The fourth failure is visibility blindness. They create processes but can't see the flow. Work disappears into black boxes. Bottlenecks hide until they explode. You can't improve what you can't see, and you can't see what isn't visible. The solution isn't more complexity, it's better clarity. The architecture of a creator operating system. Your creator operating system has 3 core components, each serving a specific function in the content creation machine. Miss one component and the whole system wobbles. Master all 3 and you'll never lose track of an idea, miss a deadline, or wonder what to work on next. The first component is your single source of truth. One dashboard where everything lives. Not scattered across multiple apps, not hidden in folders within folders, not trapped in your head. One place where ideas become assets, assets become published content, and published content becomes learnings that improve the next cycle. This dashboard operates on a simple state machine: backlog, draft, review, scheduled, published, learnings. Every piece of content moves through these stages in order. No skipping, no exceptions. No, I'll just publish this quickly without reviewing it. The stages force quality checkpoints and prevent work from falling through cracks. Each card in your system carries essential information: title, promise, target platform, due date, and owner. When you can see everything at a glance, you can make better decisions about what to work on next. When information is hidden or scattered, you make decisions based on what you remember, not what's actually important. The second component is your daily pipeline, the C.O.D.E system that turns ideas into assets. Capture happens with zero friction. The moment you have an idea, it goes into the system with minimal effort. Organize happens with light tags by content pillar and intent. Distill happens when you create a tight outline with one clear promise. Execute happens when you ship the minimum viable publishing version or schedule it for publication. This isn't just a workflow, it's a thinking framework. Each stage has a specific purpose and specific outputs. You're not just moving work forward, you're refining ideas until they become valuable assets. The third component is your weekly rhythm, the 4D loop that creates predictable progress. Monday is define day when you pick 3 to 5 assets to work on this week. Tuesday and Wednesday are draft days when you batch create content. Thursday is deploy day when you publish or schedule everything. Friday is diagnose day when you capture learnings and plan improvements. This rhythm creates momentum and prevents the feast or famine cycle that plagues most creators. Instead of wondering what to work on each day, you know exactly what needs to happen when. Instead of scrambling to meet deadlines, you work ahead of schedule. Instead of repeating mistakes, you systematically improve. The SO compounding effect. Here's where most creators leave massive value on the table. They do the work, but don't document the work. Every time they complete a process, they're forced to recreate it from memory. Every time they want to delegate, they have to train someone from scratch. Every time they want to improve, they have to remember what they did last time. Standard operating procedures change this completely. When you document a process once, you can delegate it repeatedly. When you create checklists, done becomes objective instead of subjective. When you capture best practices, quality stays stable even as you scale. But SOPs aren't just about delegation, they're about optimization. Every time you run a process, you can refine the SOP. Every time you refine the SOP, the next execution gets better. This is the compounding effect in action. Small improvements to documented processes create massive gains over time. Your 5 essential SOPs cover the critical paths in your content creation: idea intake with capture rules and tagging conventions, edit checklist covering hook strength, clarity, call to action, and proof points, Publish checklist covering formatting, links, and scheduling. Repurpose tree showing how long-form content becomes clips and quotes, and diagnose process capturing metric snapshots and key learnings. These aren't novels, they're one-page checklists with clear steps and success criteria. Visual, actionable, and easy to follow. The goal is to make excellence repeatable, not to create bureaucracy. Installing your creator operating system. Building your system happens in 3 phases, each with specific deliverables and success criteria. Rush through a phase, and you'll build on shaky foundations. Master each phase, and you'll create something that compounds for years. Phase 1 is building your single board. You'll create 6 columns representing the content lifecycle. Backlog for captured ideas, draft for work in progress, review for completed pieces awaiting final check, scheduled for content ready to publish, published for live content, and learnings for insights captured from performance data. Each card carries the essential information you need to make decisions. Title that captures the core idea, promise that defines the value delivered, platform where it will be published, due date that creates urgency, and owner who's responsible for completion. This isn't busy work. This is clarity work. You'll also create 3 views of the same data. Calendar view showing deadlines and publishing schedule, list view showing backlog priorities, and dashboard view showing your North Star metric trends. Different views serve different purposes, but they all draw from the same source of truth. Phase 2 is creating your 5 essential SOPs. Start with the processes you repeat most often. Document them while you're doing them, not after you've finished. Screen record yourself completing the process, then convert the recording into a step-by-step checklist. Keep SOPs visual with more checkboxes than paragraphs. Use screenshots, arrows, and highlights to make steps crystal clear. Test each SOP by having someone else follow it. If they can't complete the process using only your documentation, the SOP needs work. Phase 3 is installing your weekly 4D rhythm. Monday define sessions pick the week's priorities based on deadlines, strategic importance, and available capacity. Tuesday and Wednesday draft sessions batch similar work together to minimize context switching. Thursday, deploy sessions handle publishing, scheduling, and distribution. Friday, diagnose sessions capture what worked, what didn't, and what to change next week. This rhythm creates predictable progress and prevents the chaos that comes from reactive content creation. You're not scrambling to figure out what to work on. You're executing a plan you made when you had time to think strategically. The compound effect of systematic creation. Something remarkable happens when you consistently operate from a system instead of from memory. Your output doesn't just increase, it transforms. In the first week, you'll notice you're not losing ideas anymore. Everything gets captured and organized. Nothing falls through the cracks. You'll spend less time searching and more time creating. By the second week, you'll start seeing patterns in your content performance. The diagnose sessions reveal what hooks work, what topics resonate, and what formats drive engagement. Data replaces guesswork. By the fourth week, you'll have a content machine that runs with or without you. The system carries institutional knowledge. The SOPs enable delegation. The pipeline ensures consistent output even during busy periods. Your audience notices the consistency. Your collaborators notice the professionalism. Your competitors notice they're falling behind. But the real transformation is internal. You shift from reactive creator to strategic operator. Instead of wondering what to work on next, you execute against a plan. Instead of reinventing processes, you refine systems. Instead of hoping for inspiration, you create conditions for consistent output. Troubleshooting your system. Even well-designed systems face predictable challenges. Here's how to handle the 4 most common failure modes before they derail your progress. Over-engineering happens when you add complexity for its own sake. The fix is ruthless simplification. Delete columns you don't use, eliminate statuses that don't add value, and remove automation that breaks more than it helps. The best system is the one you actually use, not the one that impresses other people. Adoption failure happens when you build a system but don't use it consistently. The fix is integration. Tie SOP steps to your scorecard and deadlines. Make the system essential to your workflow, not optional. If you can bypass the system and still get work done, the system isn't designed properly. Knowledge hoarding happens when critical information stays in your head instead of moving into the system. The fix is documentation discipline. Screen record yourself completing processes, then convert recordings into SOPs. If you can't delegate a task using only your documentation, you haven't documented it properly. Backlog bloat happens when ideas accumulate faster than you can process them. The fix is weekly purging. Anything that's been in backlog for more than 14 days either gets scheduled or deleted. A stale backlog is editorial debt that taxes your attention and slows your decisions. The 3 levels of system mastery. Your creator operating system will evolve through 3 distinct levels, each with its own capabilities and benefits. Good looks like one live board with 3 core SOPs and the 4D loop running for 2 weeks. You're building the habit and seeing initial organization benefits. Work is becoming more predictable. Excellent looks like a full pipeline with 5 SOPs and weekly diagnose sessions that improve your North Star metric by 10%. The system is becoming automatic and generating insights that improve your content strategy. Best looks like a delegation-ready system with handoffs that maintain quality and a North Star metric that's up 20% or more in a quarter. The system runs with or without you, enabling true scalability. The beautiful thing about systems is that they compound. Each improvement makes the next improvement easier. Each documented process makes the next delegation smoother. Each cycle of the 4D loop makes the next cycle more effective. Your transformation from chaotic creator to systematic operator starts with a single decision. Will you build once and use repeatedly, or will you recreate everything from scratch every time? The choice seems obvious, but the implications run deeper than most creators realize. Because once you have a system that works, you're ready to tackle the challenge that separates the consistent from the prolific, and that's a secret most creators never discover. Chapter 5: Ship Faster. Your drafts folder is a graveyard of good intentions. Right now, you probably have 17 half-finished pieces of content sitting in various stages of almost done. Some have been there for weeks, others for months. A few have been marinating so long you can't remember what point you were trying to make. Every time you see them, you feel a pang of guilt mixed with overwhelm. This isn't writer's block. This isn't lack of ideas. This is something far more insidious and far more fixable. You've been optimizing for the wrong thing. While you've been polishing drafts to perfection, your competitors have been shipping imperfect content and learning from real audience data. While you've been debating whether your hook is strong enough, they've been testing 5 different hooks and discovering which one actually works. Speed isn't just about productivity. Speed is about learning, and learning is the only sustainable competitive advantage in content creation. The hidden cost of slow shipping. Most creators think they're being strategic when they take weeks to perfect a single piece of content. They believe that more time equals better quality, that careful consideration leads to superior outcomes. This sounds logical, but it's backwards. Here's what actually happens when you optimize for perfection over speed. You get trapped in your own head. Without real audience feedback, you start making decisions based on what you think will work instead of what actually works. You polish hooks that don't hook. You refine arguments that don't persuade. You perfect content that doesn't perform. Meanwhile, the fast shippers are accumulating data. Every piece they publish generates feedback, comments, shares, saves, time spent reading. This feedback guides their next piece, which generates more feedback, which guides the piece after that. They're operating in a tight feedback loop while you're operating in an echo chamber. The math is brutal. A creator who ships 1 piece per week gets 52 data points per year. A creator who ships 1 piece per day gets 365 data points. Who do you think will have better content by December? The perfectionist with 52 polished pieces or the speed demon with 365 iterations? But there's an even deeper cost to slow shipping: editorial debt. Every unfinished draft in your system is an open loop in your brain. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Our minds obsess over incomplete tasks. Those 17 drafts aren't just taking up digital space, they're taxing your mental bandwidth every time you see them. Seth Godin understood this intuitively when he started his daily blog in the late 1990s. He didn't wait for perfect ideas or perfect execution. He committed to shipping something every single day, regardless of quality. The result? Over 2 decades of consistent output that built one of the most trusted voices in business. The daily practice didn't just build his audience, it built his thinking muscles. Casey Neistat took this principle to video. When he committed to daily vlogs, he wasn't trying to create cinematic masterpieces. He was trying to develop reflexive storytelling skills. The constraint of daily shipping forced him to find stories in ordinary moments, to edit quickly, and to trust his instincts. The speed requirement became a creativity catalyst, not a creativity killer. The perfectionism trap. Before we dive into the mechanics of faster shipping, let's destroy the 3 myths that keep creators trapped in perfectionism paralysis. Myth 1. Quality requires long timelines. This confuses effort with effectiveness. Quality doesn't come from time, it comes from tight feedback loops and honest data. A hook that takes 3 weeks to write but gets 0 engagement is objectively worse than a hook that takes 3 minutes to write but stops scrollers in their tracks. The market is the ultimate judge of quality, not your internal critic. Myth 2. I need a huge idea first. This is procrastination disguised as strategy. Big ideas don't emerge from thinking, they emerge from shipping. Your best content will come from combining, refining, and building on smaller ideas that you've tested in the real world. The creator who ships daily small ideas will stumble onto more big ideas than the creator who waits for lightning to strike. Myth 3. Long form beats short form. This misses the point entirely. The best form is the one your audience actually finishes. A 200-word post that gets read completely is infinitely more valuable than a 2,000-word essay that gets abandoned after the first paragraph. Format follows function, and function is determined by audience behavior, not creator preference. The truth is simpler and more liberating. Speed creates data, data sharpens decisions, and decisions level up the work. Fast. The minimum viable publishing revolution. Here's where most creators get it wrong. They think minimum viable means low quality. Actually, it means maximum learning per unit of effort. Minimum viable publishing isn't about lowering your standards, it's about raising your learning rate. Your MVPub template becomes your secret weapon against perfectionism. It's the smallest shippable asset that delivers a clear takeaway to your audience. Not the smallest possible post, but the smallest valuable post. There's a crucial difference. The template is elegantly simple: hook that stops the scroll, story that creates connection, lesson that delivers value, call to action that drives behavior. 4 components, each with a specific purpose, each optimized for completion rather than perfection. The hook doesn't need to be clever, it needs to be clear. The story doesn't need to be epic, it needs to be relatable. The lesson doesn't need to be profound, it needs to be actionable. The call to action doesn't need to be creative, it needs to be specific. This template works because it forces you to focus on the essential elements of valuable content while eliminating everything that doesn't directly serve the reader. No fluff, no filler, no tangents that sound smart but add no value. But here's the real power of MVPub. It's scalable. Once you can consistently create valuable content in this format, you can expand any element that's working. A hook that performs well can become a longer introduction. A story that resonates can become a case study. A lesson that drives engagement can become a full tutorial. You're not limiting yourself. You're building a foundation that can support bigger structures later. The latency to publish metric that changes everything. Most creators track vanity metrics: followers, likes, impressions. These numbers feel good, but don't drive behavior change. The metric that actually transforms your content creation is latency to publish, the time from idea capture to live post. This metric reveals the truth about your creative process. If your L2P is measured in weeks, you're optimizing for perfection. If it's measured in days, you're optimizing for learning. If it's measured in hours, you're optimizing for speed and data. The goal isn't to rush everything, it's to compress the feedback loop. Every day between idea and publication is a day without data. Every week in draft purgatory is a week of missed learning opportunities. Setting an L2P ceiling forces difficult decisions. When you know a post must go live within 24 hours of conception, you can't afford to endlessly tweak the introduction. When you have a hard deadline, you focus on the essential elements and ship the rest as is. This constraint doesn't hurt quality, it improves it. Under time pressure, you make faster decisions about what matters and what doesn't. You trust your instincts instead of second-guessing every word. You ship content that's good enough to generate feedback, then use that feedback to make the next piece better. The weekly L2P audit becomes your optimization tool. Which stage consistently takes the longest? Where do ideas get stuck? What's the bottleneck that's slowing everything down? Once you identify the constraint, you can fix it. The editorial debt crisis. Here's a problem most creators don't even realize they have: editorial debt. Those unfinished drafts aren't just neutral, they're actively harmful. Every incomplete piece of content is a cognitive burden, a reminder of work undone, a source of creative paralysis. Editorial debt compounds like financial debt. The longer drafts sit unfinished, the more mental energy they consume. You start avoiding your content dashboard because seeing all those incomplete projects feels overwhelming. You begin new pieces instead of finishing old ones because starting feels easier than completing. The solution is ruthless: the ship or delete rule. Every week you audit your drafts folder. Every piece gets marked for immediate completion or immediate deletion. No exceptions. No, I'll finish this someday. No emotional attachment to ideas that aren't working. If you mark something for shipping, you timebox an immediate finishing sprint, 30 minutes to complete and publish, regardless of perceived imperfections. If you mark something for deletion, you log the lesson in your learning system and move on without guilt. This weekly purge serves multiple purposes. It clears mental bandwidth for new ideas. It forces completion decisions instead of endless deferral. It reveals patterns in what you start versus what you finish. Most importantly, it keeps your creative pipeline flowing instead of clogged. A smaller, fresher backlog leads to faster decisions and better content. When you're not overwhelmed by old ideas, you can focus on developing new ones. When you're not carrying the weight of unfinished projects, you can approach each new piece with fresh energy. The throughput capacity model. Most creators try to increase output by working more hours. This is like trying to increase water flow by turning the faucet harder when the real problem is a clogged pipe. More effort doesn't help if there's a bottleneck somewhere in the system. The throughput capacity model reveals where your content creation process is actually constrained. You map every stage from idea capture to publication, then identify where work piles up. The stage with the longest queue is your bottleneck, the stage that determines your overall speed. Maybe ideas flow freely, but you struggle with outlining. Maybe you can draft quickly, but editing takes forever. Maybe you can create content fast, but publishing logistics slow you down. Until you identify and fix the true constraint, working harder just creates more backup in the system. Once you find the bottleneck, you have three options: simplify the stage, delegate the stage, or timebox the stage more aggressively. Simplification means reducing the complexity of that step. Delegation means handing it off to someone else with a clear SOP. Timeboxing means setting a hard limit on how long that stage can take. The key insight is that your overall throughput is limited by your slowest stage, not your fastest. Optimizing the wrong stage wastes effort and creates frustration. Optimizing the right stage transforms your entire content creation process. The speed-quality paradox. Here's what seems counterintuitive but proves true in practice. Shipping faster often leads to higher quality content over time. Not because individual pieces are better, but because the learning rate accelerates. When you ship slowly, you get feedback slowly. When you get feedback slowly, you improve slowly. When you improve slowly, your content quality plateaus. You're trapped in a low-learning environment of your own creation. When you ship fast, you get feedback fast. When you get feedback fast, you improve fast. When you improve fast, your content quality compounds. You're operating in a high-learning environment that accelerates your development. The creator who ships daily for a month will end up with better content than the creator who spends a month perfecting a single piece. Not because the individual daily pieces are better, but because the daily creator has 30 data points to learn from, while the perfectionist has 1. This is why successful creators often describe their early work as terrible, but their current work as effortless. They've compressed years of learning into months of shipping. They've traded short-term perfection for long-term mastery. Installing your speed system. Your faster shipping system has 4 components, each addressing a different aspect of the speed challenge. Master all 4, and you'll never struggle with slow content creation again. Component 1 is defining your MVPub template. Choose one format you can ship daily: text post, short video, carousel, thread. Cap the length and editing steps up front. Pre-build 5 hooks you can reuse across different topics. This template becomes your speed foundation. Component 2 is setting and enforcing your L2P ceiling. Pick the maximum hours from capture to publish: 24 hours for short form, 72 hours for long form. Use timers to enforce these limits. If a piece isn't ready when time expires, you either ship it as is or schedule the nearest available slot. Component 3 is weekly editorial debt elimination. Every Friday, audit your drafts folder. Mark everything ship or delete. If ship, timebox an immediate finishing sprint. If delete, log the lesson and move on. No draft survives more than 14 days without a decision. Component 4 is throughput optimization. Map your stages, identify the bottleneck, and elevate the constraint. This might mean simplifying your editing process, delegating thumbnail creation, or timeboxing your research phase more aggressively. The 3 levels of shipping speed. Your shipping speed will evolve through 3 distinct levels, each with its own capabilities and benefits. Good looks like L2P, under 72 hours, 3 assets per week, and your first retention uptick on short-form content. You're building momentum and seeing initial speed benefits. The habit is forming. Excellent looks like L2P under 36 hours, 5 assets per week, 10% improvement in saves and shares, and clear patterns emerging in your winning hooks. Speed is becoming natural and generating better data. Best looks like L2P under 24 hours. Daily asset creation, 2 or more actionable learnings per week, and inbound collaboration opportunities appearing. Speed has become your competitive advantage. The beautiful thing about shipping speed is that it compounds. Each fast cycle makes the next cycle faster. Each piece of feedback makes the next piece better. Each completed project makes the next project easier to finish. Your transformation from slow perfectionist to fast learner starts with a single decision. Will you optimize for perfection or for data? The choice determines everything that follows. But speed without direction is just motion. Once you've mastered the art of shipping fast, you're ready to tackle the challenge that separates the prolific from the profitable, and that's where the real magic begins. Chapter 6, Scale Output. You're working harder than ever, but your reach isn't growing. Every day, you sit down to create content. You brainstorm, outline, write, edit, format, and publish. Then you do it again tomorrow and the day after that. You're consistent, you're shipping, but you're trapped in a one-to-one relationship between effort and output. Meanwhile, other creators seem to be everywhere at once. They're posting on LinkedIn while simultaneously dropping YouTube videos, sharing Instagram stories, and threading on Twitter. You wonder if they have a team of 20 people or if they've discovered some secret you haven't. The secret isn't more people, it's not more hours, it's not even more ideas. The secret is leverage, the hidden mathematics of content creation. Most creators operate under a fundamental misunderstanding about how content economics work. They think success comes from working harder, creating more, grinding longer. This is linear thinking in an exponential world. Here's what actually drives content success. Setup costs dominate creative work. The majority of your time isn't spent on the core creative act. It's spent on everything around it. Setting up equipment, finding the right file, remembering where you left off, switching between tools, formatting for different platforms, writing captions, scheduling posts. These setup costs are fixed. Whether you create one piece of content or 10 pieces of content in a session, you pay the same setup cost. The brilliant creators have figured out how to amortize these costs across multiple outputs. They work once and win many times. But there's a deeper principle at work here. Creative work has natural multiplication points. One long-form video can become 8 short clips. One detailed thread can become 10 quote cards. One comprehensive guide can become a week's worth of micro-lessons. The original thinking happens once, but the value gets distributed across multiple formats and platforms. This isn't about working smarter instead of harder. It's about working smarter so you can work harder on the things that actually matter. When you eliminate repetitive tasks and multiply your core creative work, you free up mental bandwidth for the high-level thinking that only you can do. Gary Vaynerchuk understood this intuitively when he built his content empire. He doesn't create separate content for each platform. He creates one piece of pillar content, a keynote, a podcast episode, a long-form video. Then his team slices it into dozens of platform-native pieces. 1 hour of Gary's creative energy becomes weeks of multi-platform content. Ali Abdaal and Alex Hormozi have perfected similar approaches. They'll record one comprehensive session, a workshop, a detailed explanation, a case study walkthrough, then systematically extract every valuable moment into standalone pieces. The original creative work happens once, but the distribution happens continuously. This isn't lazy, this is strategic. The 3 myths keeping you small. Before we dive into the mechanics of scaling output, let's destroy the 3 myths that keep creators trapped in linear thinking. Myth 1. Repurposing is lazy. This is perfectionist thinking disguised as quality control. The assumption is that creating new content from scratch is somehow more valuable than extracting maximum value from existing content. This is backwards. Your audience doesn't care if a piece of content was originally part of something longer. They care if it delivers value in the moment they encounter it. The reality is that repurposing is strategic distribution. Different people consume content in different formats on different platforms at different times. A busy executive might skip your 20-minute video, but engage with a 60-second clip from that same video. A visual learner might ignore your podcast, but save a quote card with the key insight. You're not being lazy, you're being inclusive. Myth 2. Automation kills authenticity. This confuses process with personality. Automation doesn't make your content less authentic, it makes your content more accessible. When you automate the mechanical aspects of content creation and distribution, you free up energy to be more present in the creative aspects that actually require your unique perspective. Your voice, your insights, your experiences, these can't be automated. But scheduling posts, formatting for different platforms, and extracting clips from longer content, these are mechanical tasks that steal time from the creative work that only you can do. Myth 3. Only big teams can scale. This is the most dangerous myth because it creates learned helplessness. You convince yourself that scaling requires hiring, managing, and coordinating multiple people. The truth is that clear SOPs plus intelligent batching can 10x a solo creator's output without adding a single team member. The constraint isn't team size, it's system design. When you have documented processes, templated workflows, and automated distribution, you can achieve enterprise-level output with startup-level resources. The economics of batching. Here's where most creators leak efficiency. They treat each piece of content as a separate project with its own setup, creation, and distribution phases. This is like cooking one meal at a time instead of meal prepping for the week. Batching transforms the economics of content creation by amortizing setup costs across multiple outputs. When you batch record 3 videos in one session, you pay the setup cost once, but get 3 times the output. When you batch edit similar content together, you stay in the same mental mode and work faster. When you batch schedule content for the week, you make distribution decisions once instead of daily. But batching isn't just about efficiency, it's about creative momentum. When you're in the flow of creating, you can ride that energy across multiple pieces. Ideas connect and build on each other. You capture nuances and variations that you'd miss if you spread the work across different days. The key is understanding what to batch together. Similar formats batch well. Record multiple talking head videos in one session. Similar topics batch well. Create all your productivity content in one sprint. Similar cognitive loads batch well. Do all your research in one block, all your writing in another, all your editing in a third. The goal isn't to batch everything, it's to batch intelligently. Some work requires fresh perspective and benefits from spacing, but the mechanical, repetitive aspects of content creation almost always benefit from batching. The repurpose multiplier revolution. This is where the magic happens. Your repurpose multiplier is the ratio of derivative content to original content. Most creators have an RM of 1:1. They create one piece and publish one piece. Winners have RMs of 10:1, 20:1, or higher. The key is building a repurpose tree for each content pillar. You decide in advance how one piece of long-form content will become multiple pieces of short-form content. This isn't random extraction, it's systematic value multiplication. A single 20-minute video might become 8 60-second clips highlighting different insights, 10 quote cards featuring the best one-liners, 1 Twitter thread summarizing the key points, 3 LinkedIn posts diving deeper into specific concepts, and 1 email newsletter tying it all together with additional context. Each derivative piece is native to its platform and valuable on its own. Someone who sees the quote card on Instagram doesn't need to watch the original video to get value. Someone who reads the Twitter thread gets a complete experience. You're not just chopping up content, you're creating new value from existing insights. The repurpose tree also guides your original content creation. When you know that one video needs to produce 8 clips, you structure the original content differently. You create natural breakpoints. You include quotable moments. You design for extraction from the beginning. This forward-thinking approach transforms how you create. Instead of hoping you'll find good clips after the fact, you engineer good clips during the creation process. The Automation Leverage Index. Here's the metric that separates scalable creators from busy creators, the Automation Leverage Index. ALI equals automated plus delegated outputs divided by founder hours. The higher your ALI, the more output you generate per hour of personal creative work. ALI starts with templates. Instead of writing captions from scratch every time, you create caption templates with fill-in-the-blank sections. Instead of designing graphics from zero, you build design templates with swappable elements. Instead of manually formatting for each platform, you create formatting templates that speed the process. Ally grows with automation tools. Scheduling software publishes content without your daily intervention. Transcription tools convert video to text automatically. Design tools resize graphics for multiple platforms with one click. Each automation removes a manual step from your workflow. ALI scales with delegation. But here's the crucial insight. Delegation only works when you have documented SOPs. You can't delegate what you haven't systematized. The SOPs you created in earlier chapters become the foundation for scaling through other people. The weekly automation audit becomes your optimization tool. What step did you repeat 3 or more times this week? That's a candidate for automation or templating. What task took longer than it should have? That's a candidate for process improvement. What work could someone else do if they had clear instructions? That's a candidate for delegation. The goal isn't to automate everything, it's to automate the right things. Creative decisions, strategic thinking, and authentic voice work should stay with you. Mechanical execution, repetitive formatting, and scheduled distribution can be systematized. Building your content multiplication machine. Your scaling system has 4 components, each designed to multiply your creative output without multiplying your creative effort. Component 1 is your weekly batch session. You'll outline 3 long-form pieces in one focused session, then record them back-to-back while your setup is hot and your energy is high. You'll also capture B-roll footage and thumbnail options during the same window. This batching approach can triple your output while actually reducing your total time investment. Component 2 is your repurpose tree. You'll decide in advance how each piece of content will multiply across platforms. One video becomes 8 clips, 10 quotes, 1 thread, and 3 posts. You'll pre-label pull quotes and timestamps during the editing process, making extraction systematic rather than random. Then you'll assign derivatives to specific days and auto-schedule the distribution. Component 3 is your ALI optimization. You'll template everything that can be templated: captions, hooks, calls to action, design elements. You'll create SOPs for everything that can be delegated: clipping, subtitles, thumbnail creation, scheduling. You'll automate everything that can be automated: posting, formatting, basic editing tasks. Component 4 is your content kit. You'll establish consistent intros and outros, fonts and colors, framing and end screen CTAs. You'll create file naming conventions that speed retrieval and organization. You'll build a shared asset library for quick reuse of graphics, templates, and brand elements. This isn't about becoming a content factory, it's about becoming a content engine. The difference is intentionality. A factory churns out volume without regard for quality or strategy. An engine produces consistent, valuable output that serves a clear purpose. The compound effect of systematic scaling. Something remarkable happens when you consistently operate from a scaling mindset instead of a linear mindset. Your reach doesn't just increase, it explodes. In the first week, you'll notice you're producing more content without working more hours. The batching and repurposing start to show immediate returns. You'll have content scheduled days or weeks in advance. By the second week, you'll start seeing cross-platform momentum. Content on one platform drives traffic to content on other platforms. Your message becomes more consistent because it's systematically coordinated. Your brand presence feels more professional and intentional. By the 4th week, you'll have achieved something most creators never reach: true multi-platform presence without multi-platform effort. You'll be showing up consistently across channels while spending the same amount of time creating that you used to spend on single-platform content. Your audience notices the consistency and professionalism. Your competitors notice they're being outpaced. Your opportunities multiply because your visibility multiplies. But the real transformation is internal. You shift from content creator to content strategist. Instead of wondering what to post today, you're executing against a systematic plan. Instead of scrambling to keep up with platforms, you're leveraging platforms to amplify your core message. The 3 levels of output mastery. Your scaling system will evolve through 3 distinct levels, each with its own capabilities and benefits. Good looks like an RM of 5:1, an ALI of 0.5, and 10 micro assets per week steady. You're building the multiplication habit and seeing initial scaling benefits. The system is taking shape. Excellent looks like an RM of 10:1, an ALI of 1 20 micro assets per week, and 15% improvement in multi-platform reach. Scaling is becoming natural and generating better distribution results. Best looks like an RM of 21, an ALI of 2.0 or higher, 30-plus micro assets per week, and consistent cross-platform growth with inbound leads appearing regularly. Scaling has become your competitive advantage. The beautiful thing about systematic scaling is that it compounds. Each optimized process makes the next optimization easier. Each automated task frees up time for higher-level work. Each successful repurpose teaches you how to create more repurposable content. Your transformation from linear creator to exponential creator starts with a single decision. Will you work once and win once, or will you work once and win many times? The choice seems obvious, but the implications run deeper than most creators realize. Because once you've mastered the art of multiplication, you're ready to face the challenge that determines whether all this output actually matters. And that's where most creators discover their fatal flaw. Chapter 7. Measure Better. You're drowning in data, but starving for insight. Your analytics dashboard looks like a NASA control room. Dozens of metrics, colorful charts, trending lines that spike and dip like a heart monitor. Views, likes, shares, comments, impressions, reach, engagement rate, follower growth, click-through rate, bounce rate. You check these numbers obsessively, multiple times per day, hoping they'll tell you what's working and what isn't. But here's the problem. They don't. Instead of clarity, you get confusion. Instead of direction, you get distraction. You celebrate when follower count spikes, then panic when it plateaus. You chase viral posts that bring empty engagement, then wonder why your business metrics don't move. You optimize for vanity metrics that feel good but don't drive outcomes. You're measuring everything and improving nothing. The creators who build sustainable empires understand something that data addicts never grasp. What you measure shapes what you do. And if you're measuring the wrong things, you'll do the wrong things, consistently, systematically, and with great precision. The measurement paradox. Most creators think more data equals better decisions. This seems logical. More information should lead to more informed choices. But in practice, the opposite happens. Too much data creates analysis paralysis. Too many metrics create decision fatigue. Too many dashboards create distraction from the work that actually matters. Here's what actually drives better decisions. Focused measurement on the right metric. Not metrics. Metric. Singular. One number that captures whether you're moving toward your goals or away from them. One number that aligns your daily actions with your long-term outcomes. One number that cuts through the noise and tells you the truth about your progress. This isn't about ignoring other data. It's about establishing hierarchy. When you have a North Star metric, everything else becomes supporting information. You can still track other numbers, but they don't drive decisions. They inform decisions that are already guided by your primary metric. The power of singular focus is profound. When MVPub decided that average watch time was his North Star metric, everything changed. Not views, not subscribers, not likes, watch time. This single decision transformed how he approached content creation. Every edit, every transition, every story beat got evaluated through one lens. Does this increase or decrease watch time? The result wasn't just better metrics, it was better content. When you optimize for watch time, you're forced to create content that actually holds attention. You can't rely on clickbait hooks that don't deliver. You can't pad videos with filler. You have to earn every second of attention, which means you have to deliver value consistently throughout the entire piece. Marks Brownlee, MKBHD, takes a more nuanced approach, balancing click-through rate and retention while preserving brand trust. But notice the key principle. He's optimizing for specific, behavior-driving metrics, not vanity numbers. His measurement strategy protects his long-term brand value while driving short-term performance. This is measurement as strategy, not measurement as scorekeeping. The vanity metrics trap. Before we dive into building your measurement system, let's identify and eliminate the metrics that are actively harming your progress. These vanity metrics feel important, but drive counterproductive behavior. Follower count is the most seductive vanity metric. It's visible, it's social proof, and it grows in a satisfying way. But followers who don't engage, don't convert, and don't care about your message are worse than no followers at all. They dilute your engagement rate, confuse the algorithm about your audience, and give you false confidence about your reach. Raw view counts are equally misleading. A video that gets 100,000 views but only holds attention for 10 seconds is objectively worse than a video that gets 1,000 views but holds attention for 10 minutes. The first video trained the algorithm that your content isn't worth watching. The second video trained the algorithm that your content is highly engaging. Likes and comments can be vanity metrics if they're not connected to business outcomes. Engagement that doesn't lead to email signups, product sales, or meaningful conversations is just digital applause. It feels good, but doesn't move your business forward. The most dangerous vanity metric is going viral. Creators chase viral content because it feels like success, but viral content often attracts the wrong audience. People who engage with viral content are usually looking for entertainment, not transformation. They follow for the viral hit, then ignore everything else you create. The antidote to vanity metrics isn't ignoring data, it's choosing better data. Metrics that correlate with business outcomes. Metrics that drive behavior change. Metrics that tell you whether you're building an audience or just collecting followers. The North Star metric revolution. Your North Star metric becomes the organizing principle for everything you create. It's the single number that determines whether you're winning or losing, improving or declining, building something valuable, or just staying busy. Choosing your NSM requires brutal honesty about what actually matters for your business. If you're building an email list, email retention rate might be your NSM. If you're driving course sales, course completion rate might be your NSM. If you're building a consulting practice, qualified inbound leads might be your NSM. The key is correlation with outcomes. Your NSM should be the metric that most closely predicts business success. Not the metric that's easiest to move, not the metric that makes you feel good, but the metric that actually matters for your long-term goals. Once you choose your NSM, you lock it for a quarter. No metric hopping. No changing your mind when the number doesn't move as fast as you'd like. No switching to a different metric because you discovered a new dashboard. Consistency in measurement enables consistency in improvement. You'll also define a quarterly target and a weekly floor for your NSM. The target gives you something to aim for. The floor prevents overreaction to normal fluctuations. If your NSM is above the floor, you're doing fine. If it's trending toward the target, you're doing great. If it's below the floor, you need to investigate and adjust. Sharing your NSM with your team or accountability partner creates external pressure to stay focused. When someone else knows what you're optimizing for, you're less likely to get distracted by vanity metrics or shiny new numbers. The weekly creator scorecard. Your scorecard becomes the operational tool that translates your NSM into weekly action. It's not a comprehensive analytics report. It's a focused dashboard that tells you what's working and what needs attention. The scorecard tracks 7 key metrics: output, how much you created; on-time percentage, how often you hit deadlines; latency to publish, how fast you ship; repurpose multiplier, how well you scale; your NSM, how you're progressing toward goals; qualified inbounds, how your content drives business; and key learning, what you discovered this week. Each metric gets a traffic light color: green for good, yellow for caution, red for attention needed. This visual system enables instant pattern recognition. You can see at a glance whether you're trending up, down, or sideways across multiple dimensions. The most important part of the scorecard isn't the numbers, it's the one-line decision at the bottom. Based on this week's data, what will you keep doing, do more of, or stop doing? This forces you to translate data into action. Numbers without decisions are just scorekeeping. The weekly cadence is crucial. Daily analytics checking creates overreaction to normal fluctuations. Monthly reviews miss opportunities for quick corrections. Weekly reviews create tight feedback loops without obsessive monitoring. You'll update your scorecard at the same time every week, ideally Friday afternoon, when you can reflect on the week's work and plan improvements for next week. This becomes your strategic thinking time, when you step back from creation and focus on optimization. The noise to signal filter. Here's where most creators sabotage their own progress. They track everything and optimize nothing. Their dashboards become digital slot machines, full of flashing numbers that trigger emotional reactions but don't drive strategic decisions. Your noise to signal filter eliminates this distraction by hiding metrics that don't change behavior. If a number doesn't influence what you create, how you create it, or when you create it, you don't need to see it regularly. This doesn't mean deleting data, it means organizing data by importance. Your NSM and scorecard metrics get prime real estate on your dashboard. Supporting metrics get secondary placement. Vanity metrics get hidden or relegated to monthly reviews. The filter also prevents chasing empty virality. When you can't see vanity metrics, you can't optimize for them. When you can only see behavior-changing metrics, you optimize for things that actually matter. Some creators resist this filtering because they're afraid of missing something important. But the opposite is true. When you try to watch everything, you see nothing clearly. When you focus on the essential metrics, you see patterns and opportunities that were invisible in the noise. The feedback flywheel. This is where measurement transforms from passive observation to active optimization. The feedback flywheel turns every piece of content into an experiment that generates learning for the next piece. The process is elegantly simple. Publish with a hypothesis, review data for that hypothesis, tweak exactly one lever for the next iteration. This creates a systematic learning engine that compounds over time. Your hypothesis doesn't need to be complex. This hook will increase retention by 10%. This topic will drive more saves. This format will generate more comments. The key is being specific about what you expect to happen and why. After publishing, you check the exact metric you aim to move. Not all your metrics, not your entire dashboard, just the specific number related to your hypothesis. This prevents data overwhelm and keeps you focused on learning. Then you adjust exactly one variable for the next piece. Not 3 variables, not a complete overhaul, just one change based on what you learned. This enables clear attribution. If the metric improves, you know which change drove the improvement. The flywheel creates momentum through small, consistent improvements. Each experiment teaches you something about your audience. Each learning improves your next experiment. Each improvement compounds with previous improvements. Over time, this systematic approach to optimization creates dramatic improvements in performance, not through lucky breaks or viral hits, but through disciplined experimentation and continuous learning. Installing your measurement system. Your measurement system has 4 components, each serving a specific function in the optimization process. Component 1 is choosing and locking your NSM. You'll pick the metric most correlated with your business outcomes, define quarterly targets and weekly floors, and share your choice with someone who will hold you accountable. This becomes your decision-making filter for the next 90 days. Component 2 is building your weekly scorecard. You'll track the 7 essential metrics, use traffic-light colors for instant clarity, and end each week with a one-line decision about what to change. This becomes your operational dashboard for continuous improvement. Component 3 is installing your noise-to-signal filter. You'll hide vanity metrics, reorganize your dashboard by importance, and create no analytics days to protect your creative energy. This becomes your defense against data overwhelm. Component 4 is running your feedback flywheel. You'll attach micro-hypotheses to each piece of content, check specific metrics after publishing, and adjust one variable for the next iteration. This becomes your learning engine for systematic optimization. The compound effect of better measurement. Something remarkable happens when you consistently measure the right things in the right way. Your content doesn't just improve, it transforms. In the first week, you'll notice you're making faster decisions about what to create. The NSM provides clarity about priorities. The scorecard reveals patterns you couldn't see before. By the second week, you'll start seeing correlation between your actions and your results. The feedback flywheel begins generating insights about what works and what doesn't. Your content becomes more intentional and strategic. By the 4th week, you'll have developed an intuitive sense of what moves your NSM. You'll create content that's optimized for outcomes, not just outputs. Your measurement system will guide your creative decisions without constraining your creative expression. Your audience notices the improvement in relevance and value. Your business metrics start moving in response to your content metrics. Your confidence grows because you can see clear progress toward your goals. But the real transformation is strategic. You shift from reactive creator to data-driven optimizer. Instead of hoping your content works, you systematically improve it. Instead of guessing what your audience wants, you test and learn. The 3 levels of measurement mastery. Your measurement system will evolve through 3 distinct levels, each with its own capabilities and insights. Good looks like maintaining your scorecard for 4 weeks and seeing your first NSM uptick. You're building the measurement habit and starting to see patterns in your data. The system is taking hold. Excellent looks like 15% NSM improvement over 8 weeks and a clear list of winning hooks and topics. Measurement is driving optimization and generating actionable insights. The flywheel is spinning. Best looks like 30% or higher NSM improvement over a quarter, 5 or more qualified inbounds per week, and predictable pipeline generation. Measurement has become your competitive advantage and strategic guidance system. The beautiful thing about better measurement is that it compounds. Each insight makes the next insight easier to find. Each optimization makes the next optimization more effective. Each improvement in your NSM makes your entire content engine more valuable. Your transformation from data-overwhelmed creator to insight-driven strategist starts with a single decision. Will you measure everything and improve nothing, or will you measure the right thing and improve systematically? The choice determines whether your content becomes a strategic asset or just a creative hobby. But measurement without monetization is just sophisticated scorekeeping, and that's where most creators discover the difference between building an audience and building a business. Chapter 8, Monetize Ladder. You've built an audience, but you haven't built a business. Your content gets thousands of views. Your posts generate hundreds of comments. Your follower count grows steadily. People tell you they love your work, that it's changed their perspective, that they look forward to your next piece. You feel like a successful creator. But your bank account tells a different story. You're rich in attention, but poor in revenue. You've mastered the art of creating value, but not the science of capturing it. You've built a following, but not a business model. And every month, you wonder how long you can sustain this passion project before reality forces you to get a real job. This isn't a creativity problem. This isn't an audience problem. This is an architecture problem. You're missing the bridge between content and commerce, between influence and income, between building an audience and building a business. That bridge is called a monetization ladder, and without it, even the most successful content creators remain broke. The hidden psychology of value exchange. Most creators approach monetization backwards. They build an audience first, then scramble to figure out how to make money from it. They treat monetization as an afterthought, something to bolt onto their content strategy once they reach some arbitrary follower threshold. This approach fails because it misunderstands the fundamental psychology of value exchange. People don't buy from creators they follow. They buy from creators they trust. And trust isn't built through follower counts or viral posts. Trust is built through consistent value delivery and transparent promises. The creators who build sustainable businesses understand something that hobbyists never grasp. Monetization isn't something you add to your content strategy. It's something you build into your content strategy from day one. Every piece of content either builds trust or captures value. Every post either moves people up your value ladder or moves them out of your ecosystem. This isn't about being salesy or pushy. This is about being intentional and strategic. When you have a clear monetization ladder, your content becomes more focused, your audience becomes more qualified, and your business becomes more predictable. Tim Ferriss exemplifies this approach. His blog posts, podcast episodes, and social media content consistently deliver value while subtly guiding readers toward his books, courses, and investment opportunities. He's not hiding his monetization. He's integrating it seamlessly into his value delivery. The content earns trust, the offers capture value, and the system compounds over time. Pat Flynn built his empire using the same principle. His content teaches entrepreneurship and online business, naturally leading to courses, coaching, and affiliate partnerships. The monetization feels organic because it's aligned with the value he provides. People don't feel sold to, they feel served. Alex Hormozi takes this even further, using free content to pre-qualify prospects for high-value business partnerships and investments. His YouTube videos and social posts aren't just educational, they're sophisticated sales funnels that attract the right people and repel the wrong ones. The 3 monetization myths keeping you broke. Before we build your monetization ladder, let's destroy the 3 myths that keep creators trapped in the starving artist mentality. Myth 1. Monetization is sleazy. This is perfectionist thinking disguised as moral superiority. The assumption is that charging for value somehow corrupts the purity of creation. This is backwards. When you don't monetize effectively, you can't invest in better content, better tools, or better team members. You're forced to create from a place of scarcity instead of abundance. The reality is that transparent promises and clear outcomes build more trust than vague, free value that never leads anywhere. When someone pays for your solution and gets the promised result, they trust you more, not less. When someone consumes your free content but never sees a path to deeper engagement, they eventually lose interest and move on. Myth 2. Ads are the only path. This is the lazy creator's approach to monetization. Ads require massive scale to generate meaningful revenue. They give you zero control over your income, and they turn your audience into a product you sell to advertisers instead of customers you serve directly. Diversified offers reduce risk and increase lifetime value. When you have multiple ways to monetize, courses, coaching, consulting, products, partnerships, you're not dependent on any single revenue stream. When ad rates drop or algorithm changes reduce reach, you still have income. When one offer stops converting, you have others to fall back on. Myth 3. Wait until 100K followers. This is procrastination disguised as strategy. The assumption is that you need massive reach before you can generate meaningful revenue. This ignores the fundamental truth that relevance beats reach every time. A creator with 1,000 highly engaged followers in a specific niche can often generate more revenue than a creator with 100,000 loosely connected followers across multiple topics. Quality of audience matters more than quantity of audience. Depth of trust matters more than breadth of reach. The truth is simpler and more empowering. You can start monetizing from day one if you have a clear value proposition and a systematic approach to building trust. The 5-rung monetization ladder. Your monetization ladder becomes the strategic framework that guides both your content creation and your business development. Each rung serves a specific purpose in the trust building and value capture process. The first rung is free content that consistently delivers value while pre-framing the problem you solve. This isn't random educational content, it's strategic content that demonstrates your expertise while highlighting the challenges your audience faces. Every piece of free content should leave people thinking, if this is what they give away for free, imagine what they charge for. The second rung is your lead magnet, a quick-win artifact that solves a specific subproblem in exchange for contact information. This might be a checklist, template, mini-course, or diagnostic tool. The key is immediate value delivery that builds trust while capturing permission to continue the conversation. The third rung is your entry offer, a low-risk, high-clarity solution that solves a complete problem for a small price. This de-risks the buying decision while demonstrating your ability to deliver results. It's not your most comprehensive solution, but it's your most accessible one. The fourth rung is your core offer, your flagship transformation that solves your audience's primary problem. This is where you deliver your best work to your most committed customers. It's priced appropriately for the value delivered and designed to create remarkable results. The fifth rung is your back end, advanced, high-leverage engagement for your most successful customers. This might be done with use services, mastermind programs, or strategic partnerships. It's designed for people who've already achieved success with your core offer and want to go deeper. Each rung de-risks the next. Someone who gets value from your free content is more likely to download your lead magnet. Someone who gets results from your lead magnet is more likely to buy your entry offer. Someone who succeeds with your entry offer is more likely to invest in your core offer. The ladder creates natural progression based on demonstrated value and growing trust. The exit backwards operating plan. Here's where most creators sabotage their own success. They build offers, but not systems. They can deliver great results when they're personally involved in every step, but they can't scale beyond their own time and energy. They become the bottleneck in their own business. The exit backwards operating plan solves this by designing your business to run without you from the beginning. You document every delivery process, create dashboards to monitor health metrics, and identify which roles you should never do personally. This isn't about immediately hiring a team. It's about building systems that can eventually support a team. When you document your processes from day one, delegation becomes simple. When you create monitoring dashboards from the start, quality control becomes automatic. When you identify your unique value from the beginning, you can focus on high-leverage activities. The goal is operator independence, a business that generates revenue and delivers value without requiring your constant attention. This doesn't mean you become uninvolved, but it means you shift from operator to orchestrator, from doing the work to designing the work. This systematic approach increases your business value exponentially. A business that depends on the founder's personal involvement is worth a multiple of annual revenue. A business that operates systematically without founder dependence is worth a multiple of annual profit. The difference can be millions of dollars in enterprise value. Building your revenue architecture. Your monetization system has 3 core components, each serving a specific function in the value creation and capture process. Component 1 is mapping your ladder with one clear problem and one clear promise per rung. You'll define success milestones for each stage and align your content CTAs to guide people to the next appropriate rung. This creates natural progression without pushy sales tactics. Component 2 is building delivery systems that can operate without your constant involvement. You'll create SOPs for your top 5 delivery tasks, build dashboards to monitor leads, conversions, and delivery health, and establish weekly operations reviews with simple red-green status indicators. Component 3 is validation and iteration based on real market feedback. You'll pilot your entry offer first, set clear success thresholds, and either scale what works or fix what doesn't before moving to the next rung. This prevents the common mistake of building elaborate offers that nobody wants. The key is sequential development. Don't try to build all 5 rungs simultaneously. Start with exceptional free content and a compelling lead magnet. Once those are working, add your entry offer. Once that's converting, develop your core offer. Only after your core delivery is smooth should you consider back-end opportunities. The compound effect of systematic monetization. Something remarkable happens when you approach monetization systematically instead of sporadically. Your revenue doesn't just increase, it becomes predictable. In the first month, you'll notice your content becomes more focused and purposeful. When you know where you're guiding people, every piece of content can contribute to that journey. Your audience starts to see you as a solution provider, not just an educator. By the second month, you'll start seeing qualified leads flowing consistently. Your lead magnet attracts people who are genuinely interested in your solution, not just casual browsers. Your email list becomes an asset, not just a vanity metric. By the 4th month, you'll have validated demand for your entry offer and begun developing systems for consistent delivery. Your revenue becomes more predictable because your value delivery becomes more systematic. Your audience notices the professionalism and clarity. Your competitors notice they're being outpaced by someone who's building a business, not just an audience. Your opportunities multiply because revenue creates optionality. But the real transformation is strategic. You shift from hoping someone will eventually pay you to systematically building a business that serves customers profitably. Instead of wondering how to monetize your audience, you're optimizing a proven system for better results. The 3 levels of monetization mastery. Your monetization system will evolve through 3 distinct levels, each with its own capabilities and business impact. Good looks like a live entry offer, 20% list growth, and $1,000 to $2,000 monthly recurring revenue validated through real customer success. You're building the foundation and proving market demand. The system is taking shape. Excellent looks like a converting core offer, $5,000 to $10,000 monthly revenue, and stable delivery SOPs that maintain quality without your constant involvement. Monetization is becoming systematic and scalable. The business is emerging. Best looks like an installed backend system, operator-independent revenue, customer churn below 3% monthly, and an automation leverage index above 1.5. Monetization has become your competitive advantage and strategic asset. The beautiful thing about systematic monetization is that it compounds. Each satisfied customer becomes a case study for the next customer. Each refined process makes delivery more efficient and profitable. Each successful rung makes the next rung easier to develop and fill. Troubleshooting your monetization system. Even well-designed monetization systems face predictable challenges. Here's how to handle the 5 most common failure modes before they derail your progress. Offer bloat happens when you create too many products that overlap and confuse your audience. The fix is ruthless focus. Cut everything except your one core offer, retire overlapping promises, and guide everyone toward the same clear solution. Conflicting CTAs happen when your content points people in multiple directions simultaneously. The fix is systematic alignment. 1 CTA per piece of content, everything mapped to the next appropriate rung, clear progression from free to paid. Delivery chaos happens when you can't consistently deliver the results you promise. The fix is operational discipline. Weekly operations reviews, clear ownership assignments, and tighter SOPs that ensure quality regardless of volume. Low conversion happens when people consume your content but don't buy your offers. The fix is message market fit. Sharpen your problem-promise alignment, add more proof and specific outcomes, and ensure your offers solve real problems people will pay to fix. Platform risk happens when your entire business depends on rented land. The fix is diversification. Multiple traffic sources, owned email list, direct customer relationships that survive algorithm changes, and platform policies. Your transformation from broke creator to profitable entrepreneur starts with a single decision. Will you treat monetization as an afterthought or as a strategic foundation? The choice determines whether your content becomes a hobby or a business. But even the most profitable monetization ladder is worthless if you can't maintain it consistently over time. That's where most creators discover the difference between building a system and building a legacy, and that final distinction changes everything. Chapter 9. Keep going. You now possess something most creators will never have, a complete operating system for turning ideas into assets, assets into trust, and trust into revenue. But knowledge without action is just expensive entertainment. Systems without implementation are just sophisticated procrastination. You can read every business book, attend every conference, and consume every course, but none of it matters until you ship something real into the world. The difference between creators who build empires and creators who build nothing isn't talent, luck, or timing. It's the willingness to start before they feel ready, and the discipline to continue after the initial excitement fades. You're at a crossroads. One path leads back to the comfortable chaos of sporadic creation, endless planning, and perpetual getting ready to get ready. The other path leads to systematic execution, compounding results, and the quiet confidence that comes from owning a machine that works. Which path will you choose? The complete creator operating system. Let's crystallize what you've learned into a single, actionable framework that you can reference and refine for years to come. Your journey begins with identity shift, declaring who you are and what you do. I am the creator who ships every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. This isn't positive thinking, it's identity programming. When shipping becomes part of your self-image, discipline becomes automatic. When consistency becomes character, audiences start trusting your rhythm. Time control protects your creative energy through constraint calendars and timeboxing. 2 90-minute maker blocks per weekday become sacred. Meetings cluster into specific afternoons. The first hard thing first rule ensures your best energy goes to your most important work. Constraints don't limit creativity, they catalyze it. Build System transforms chaos into repeatability through your creator operating system. Ideas flow through C.O.D.E. Capture, organize, distill, execute. Your 4D weekly rhythm creates predictable progress. Define on Monday, draft on Tuesday and Wednesday, deploy on Thursday, diagnose on Friday. SOPs document your best practices so excellence becomes repeatable. Ship Faster eliminates perfectionism through minimum viable publishing. Your MVPub template, hook, story, lesson, CTA, becomes your speed foundation. Latency to publish drops from weeks to hours. Editorial debt gets eliminated weekly. The throughput capacity model reveals and fixes your bottlenecks. Scale output multiplies your reach through batching economics and the repurpose multiplier. 1 long-form piece becomes 10 short-form derivatives. Your automation leverage index rises as software handles repetitive tasks. You work once and win many times across multiple platforms. Measure Better focuses your energy through one North Star metric and a weekly creator scorecard. The noise-to-signal filter hides vanity metrics, so behavior-changing data wins. The feedback flywheel turns every piece of content into an experiment that improves the next piece. Monetize Ladder captures value through systematic progression. Free content builds trust. Lead magnets capture permission. Entry offers de-risk buying decisions. Core offers deliver transformation. Back-end services maximize lifetime value. Your exit backwards operating plan ensures the business can run without you as the bottleneck. This isn't just a content strategy, it's a business architecture that compounds over time. Your new superpowers. You now own something that most entrepreneurs spend years trying to build, a predictable machine for generating attention, trust, and revenue. This machine doesn't depend on inspiration, motivation, or market conditions. It runs on systems, processes, and documented best practices. Your publishing becomes predictable. Instead of wondering what to create next, you execute against a systematic plan. Instead of hoping your content resonates, you test hypotheses and optimize based on data. Instead of scrambling to meet deadlines, you work ahead of schedule with content queued and ready. Your levers become clear. When you want to increase reach, you optimize your repurpose multiplier. When you want to improve engagement, you focus on your North Star metric. When you want to boost revenue, you refine your monetization ladder. No more guessing, no more random tactics, no more throwing content at the wall to see what sticks. Your progress becomes visible and controllable. The weekly creator scorecard shows exactly where you stand and what needs attention. The 4D loop creates consistent forward momentum. The feedback flywheel ensures you're always learning and improving. Most importantly, you develop the quiet confidence that comes from owning a system that works. You're no longer at the mercy of algorithm changes, platform policies, or market fluctuations. You have a diversified, systematic approach to building audience and generating revenue that can adapt to any environment. The relationship revolution. Something unexpected happens when you install systematic content creation. Your personal relationships improve dramatically. Systems free time and reduce stress. When you're not constantly scrambling to create content, you have mental bandwidth for the people who matter most. When your publishing schedule is predictable, you can protect family time without guilt. When your business runs systematically, you sleep better and show up more present. Reliability deepens respect with peers and partners. When you consistently deliver on your commitments, people start viewing you differently. They see you as someone who gets things done, someone they can count on, someone worth collaborating with. Professional opportunities flow to reliable people. Clear boundaries protect personal commitments. When your maker blocks are sacred, you don't check email during dinner. When your content is scheduled in advance, you don't work weekends. When your systems handle routine tasks, you can focus on relationships during relationship time. The creator who's always behind on content is always stressed, always distracted, always apologizing for missed commitments. The creator who's systematically ahead can be fully present in every moment because they're not carrying the weight of unfinished work. Your family notices the difference. Your friends notice the difference. Your business partners notice the difference. Systematic creation doesn't just improve your content, it improves your life. Your new reality. Within 90 days of implementing this system, your creative life will be unrecognizable. You'll publish on command across multiple platforms. Daily assets flow from your system without chaos or stress. Your content calendar extends weeks into the future. You create from abundance, not scarcity. Consistent inbound opportunities become your new normal. Collaboration requests, speaking invitations, partnership proposals, and client inquiries flow regularly because your systematic presence builds trust and demonstrates competence. You shift from chasing opportunities to evaluating them. A credible pipeline for partnerships and deals emerges naturally. When you consistently deliver value and demonstrate systematic thinking, bigger players want to work with you. Your content becomes your business development engine, attracting the right people and repelling the wrong ones. But the deepest transformation is internal. You develop unshakable confidence in your ability to create value consistently. You know that regardless of what happens in the market, you can generate attention, build trust, and create revenue. This confidence changes how you show up in every area of life. The compound effect of systematic excellence. Here's where the magic really happens. As your SOPs mature and your automation leverage index rises, each result costs less effort while delivering more value. Your content creation loops get shorter and smoother. What used to take 4 hours now takes 2. What used to require your personal involvement now runs automatically. What used to stress you out now feels effortless. Your automation leverage index increases while your founder hours stay flat or even decrease. Software handles more tasks. Templates speed routine work. SOPs enable delegation. You shift from doing the work to designing the work. Small tweaks create big compounding effects. A 10% improvement in your hook template affects every piece of content going forward. A refined SOP saves time on every execution. An optimized repurpose tree multiplies the value of every long-form piece you create. This is why systematic creators eventually lap everyone else. They're not just working harder, they're working in a way that gets easier and more effective over time. Their systems compound while others start from scratch every day. The MVPub proof of concept. Jimmy Donaldson, MVPub, proves that systematic content creation can scale to extraordinary heights. His success isn't luck, talent, or timing. It's systems, processes, and relentless optimization. His North Star metric, average watch time, drives every creative decision. Video concepts, pacing, editing, thumbnails, titles, everything gets evaluated through the lens of watch time optimization. This singular focus creates clarity in a chaotic creative environment. His SOPs and postmortems institutionalize learning across his entire operation. Every video gets analyzed, every experiment gets documented, every insight gets incorporated into future content. The organization learns faster than any individual could alone. His reinvestment into process and systems scales output and impact exponentially. Revenue doesn't go to lifestyle inflation, it goes to better systems, better team members, better processes. The business compounds because the systems compound. MVPub's operation produces content at a scale that seems impossible until you understand the systematic foundation underneath. He's not a content creator. He's a content entrepreneur who happens to appear on camera. The systems do the heavy lifting. He provides the vision and optimization. This is what becomes possible when you think systematically about content creation from the beginning. Your first move. Stop reading, start doing. Open your calendar right now and block 2 90-minute maker sessions this week. Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. and Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Put them on your calendar with alerts. Treat them like client meetings because they are your meeting with your future self. Write your identity line on a sticky note and put it where you'll see it every day. I am the creator who ships every frequency at time. Make it specific. Make it public. Make it real. Draft your first MVPub today using the Hook Story Lesson CTA template. Don't overthink it. Don't perfect it. Just create something valuable in 200 words or less that you can ship by sundown. Ship it before you go to bed tonight. Post it, publish it, send it, whatever shipping means in your context. Then log one learning tomorrow about how it performed and what you'll do differently next time. This isn't about creating a masterpiece. This is about starting the system that will create hundreds of masterpieces over time. The moment of truth. Today decides the curve your life will follow for the next decade. You can close this book, feel inspired for a few days, then gradually drift back to the comfortable chaos of sporadic creation. You can add these ideas to your collection of things I'll implement someday and continue living in the gap between knowledge and action. Or you can ship something small today and start the compounding process that transforms creators into entrepreneurs, followers into customers, and ideas into empires. Ship small, ship fast, ship again. Every asset you create is a vote for your future self. Every system you install is an investment in your freedom. Every process you document is a step toward operator independence. The system compounds, but only if you start it. Your content empire begins with a single published asset. Your systematic transformation begins with a single maker block. Your new identity begins with a single decision to ship instead of perfect. The creators who win aren't the most talented, the most connected, or the most funded. They're the ones who start before they feel ready and continue after others quit. They're the ones who choose systems over inspiration, consistency over intensity, and execution over perfection. They're the ones who ship. The question isn't whether you can build a content empire. The question is whether you will. Your future self is waiting for your answer. What will it be?